but that was little compared to normal.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody and go ahead and call this special meeting of the board on this Monday, June 2nd at 3:30 p.m. to order. We do have a quorum present. Liz called me a few minutes ago and she will be running late. Was tied up with family in Ketchum and hopefully should be here 10 to 15 minutes, something like that. So with that, I will ask, are there any additions, corrections, modifications, or substitutions to the current agenda?
There is one amendment, or I should say one addition to the agenda, and that will be item 3, consideration of recommended contractors for Wood River Middle School ERV projects, and Mike will talk to us about that.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to amend the agenda as currently stated?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda amended. And the reason we have to do this, it was scheduled for the June regular meeting, but the information came after the May meeting, but it's kind of time sensitive and we want to get a jump on it before as soon as we can right after school ends. So we'll go ahead and turn the time over to Mike Chatterton. As he's doing that, we'll go ahead and throw out the disclaimer. John Blackman, our interim superintendent, had an eye appointment previously scheduled, so he will be joining us after that as soon as he can.
Can you slide that way, Mike, so I can see you better? There we go. Thank you.
Okay, this is a project that we've been working on. I think it came to the board initially, probably the February board meeting or the March board meeting when we got approval to go out to bid on these ERV energy recovery ventilator project to get better indoor air quality into the Wood River Middle School. And we initially bid this project back in early April, had the bid openings in late April. The idea was to approve this at the May board meeting, but the bid came in about $90,000 more than what we had budgeted for, and we only had the one proposal, so we elected to rebid the project and get more companies involved in the bid. So we rebid that in late April, opened up the bids according to the state statute. It had to be advertised for 2 weeks, and then at least 2 weeks after the first posting, so that put it in last week. So we opened the bids last week. We had 2 proposals. One was from Thornton Heating there was about $17,000 less than the original bid 3 weeks ago. And the second bid came in from YMC Incorporated out of Boise for $174,000. So it was about, $65,000 less than Thornton's bid. So we're recommending we go with YMC out of Boise for $174,000. The entire budget on this project is $383,000, so this represents probably 60% of that budget. And we felt like that we couldn't, we didn't feel like the first proposal we received was close, so that's why we elected to rebid. We felt like we could get a better price by going out of town for additional subcontractors, and that's what we did. So we did get a bid that we felt like was really good. Questions?
The $174,000 for this portion of it, how does that compare to what's budgeted for this portion? It's still over.
It's a little bit over, but it's
by how
only
much?
over by about $7,000.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
within $7,000?
Yeah, it's within about 4%.
Okay. And then are we anticipating that we're still going to be able to stay at that 383 total budget?
Yes.
Through savings elsewhere?
Yes, we will. I mean, we received the majority of the budgets and the proposals in for the entire project, and we will be within that budget.
Okay.
Yes, that was my question as well, but I was just curious, you said Thornton's was $17,000, and what was their...
Their initial, Thornton bid the first time,
Yep.
and their initial bid was $248,907.
Okay.
The second bid was
31.
$231,548. And YMC's bid was $174,000.
Okay. That's a big difference.
It's a big difference. And we talked to YMC. They felt very comfortable in their numbers. They said there was no issue. They've had the 3 days to where they could get out of the bid if they wanted to, and they've chose to say that we're fine with the bid, we'll be able to make money, and we're doing fine here. The reason we wanted to do this in a special meeting is there's a 6 to 7 week lead time on the equipment. So that puts us into the 3rd week of July, and this stuff has to be done by the middle of August. So by getting in another week, it gives us another week earlier, like the middle of July.
Okay.
So we want to get YMC under contract.
Do I hear a motion then to award the contract to YMC Mechanical out of Boise for $174,000 even?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mike, I appreciate your looking at it and realizing we weren't going to be able to make our budget, going back out and doing the best work you can for the school district to make sure we can accomplish things on budget. So
Thank you.
very much. All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And contract order to YMC. Lori, would you mind getting, we're also going to put a conference or a Polycom call into our new superintendent, Dr. Gwen Carroll Holmes. She will be joining us momentarily as we get started on the next item of business.
Hi, Gwen Carroll, this is Lori Kaufman, over at the school district office. We're in session, in open session, and a special meeting now, so feel free to chime in and listen.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you. If you need to turn that up, guys, or let me know.
Okay.
Okay, appreciate it. All right. The reason we're here this afternoon is we recently had our Zone 4 trustee appointment process, and we interviewed 4 candidates for said position. We selected Rick. I just had a brain fart. Excuse me. I apologize. I just had Rick. What can I say? It's been a long day already. We extended the position to Rick Roberts at that meeting, and he graciously accepted. Since that meeting, some information had kind of come to light, and I felt it was prudent that we had an opportunity as a board to go ahead and discuss it in open meeting to make the public aware, as well as hash over, talk out any potential conflicts that might arise because of the information. I started hearing allegations, I guess that's not a good word, comments that Rick's son was going to be attending the Syringa Mountain School and was registered to attend there this fall. One of our questions was, during the interview process, talked about any potential conflict of interest or the necessity of recusing oneself from any pressing matters before the board. As it stands right now, we've had one request from Syringa Mountain School to assist in providing transportation, and I think that in the community at large, there's some misconceptions about Syringa Mountain School and its role with Blaine County School District. I think a lot of people in the community view them as one and the same. But because they are a separately chartered district, chartered through the state instead of through Blaine County, that kind of muddies the waters for agreements like transportation that's before us currently and other potential requests that Syringa Mountain School might have for the Blaine County School District and the Board of Trustees. And so I wanted to kind of bring that to the forefront, let everybody know, open it up for discussion amongst the board. The conflict doesn't come in to the fact that Rick Roberts' son is going to be attending Syringa. Parents have the right and the obligation to educate their students the best way to set them up for success, however they see fit. That is not where the issues arise. The issues arise on having to recuse oneself from any discussions because of potential conflicts of interest. And whether or not it's a conflict of interest or whether it's a perceived impropriety, we as a district want to be cognizant of those and be able to discuss that openly and open that up to the board for comment.
I'll start. For me, this is not a factor, and I feel like we can take up the conflicts on a case-by-case basis. And I agree with that.
Okay. From my perspective, there's a myriad of reasons why we chose Rick Roberts, part of which was his expertise in the legal field, his experience as an attorney, his ability to discuss, look at, analyze from an unbiased point of view. And I feel that those issues, or excuse me, those strengths are still going to come into play. My concern is we as a board make the best decisions when all 5 of us can participate and discuss jointly, bring our different perspectives, our different points of views, and openly discuss together. That's how I feel that the board makes our best decisions. I feel that we just need to be aware of a potential conflict at times when it deals with Syringa requesting funding or assistance, partnerships with the district, that we possibly might not have that 5th member to be able to openly discuss, as well as in our conversations with our new superintendent, Dr. Holmes, to be able to, is she going to be able to discuss freely and openly the same with all board members? Make sure all the same information is prevalent and passing.
I think one thing that's going to happen, with this situation is that we have to look at everything through the lens of, is this going to be a conflict potentially down the road? Is it an actual conflict? Is it not a conflict? And even if it's not in a legal sense a conflict, there's still a perception issue that can come into play too, as far as what is their motivation, why are they making certain decisions. And so I think it's just something that it's important to get it out there so that we can talk about it and we can be open about it and then move on. I've had an opportunity to talk at length with Rick about this. And so, we are where we are at this point. I think that it's also important for Rick to be able to speak to the issue directly, and that's another reason for having this meeting, so that he can explain, there was no intent to not disclose that his son was attending Syringa. It was more specifically a lack of knowledge of the connection between, or the lack of connection between the schools. So I think that at this point, I don't know if you want to allow Rick to say anything or speak to the issue.
No, we went ahead and invited Rick and allowed him the opportunity to kind of present and kind of share his side.
Do you want to? You don't have to stand up there, but
if you just
grab a
use the
microphone.
if you don't mind. It's being webcast for those at home as well, so it's not just for the people in the room.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me, and I think it's valuable to get this topic out in the open and discuss it. I came to the interview last Tuesday with the...
The camera can't see you for the webcast, so maybe it would be better for you to stand up there.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Just make sure that green light is on that one. On the
Should be on the front. Should be good to go.
It is, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And the camera's there. Fair enough. All right. Last Tuesday, one of the questions that you all asked me was do I have any conflicts? You also asked me where I started talking about my children, one of whom is too small to be in school right now. The other one is 8 years old and in Haley, which I said all of that. What I didn't say was that I had a kid the older one's going to Syringa this fall. I didn't say it because I was under the understanding that Syringa is a public school. And it wasn't until I received a phone call on Thursday from Sean, who said it's a public school within Blaine County, but it's not a Blaine County School District public school, which is a distinction that was not one that I was aware of. So to the extent that there's concern that I omitted information deliberately or had some agenda related to Syringa, not the case, just not informed. And so I spoke to both Sean and Kathy about that on Thursday and Friday and let them know what had happened, but I hadn't had the opportunity to address the rest of the board, the public, school officials about that. And I think the concern that I may have some bias or some conflict related to Syringa is one that I understand to a certain extent from a public perception point of view, but it's one that's very foreign to me as an attorney, in particular one that's worked for judges, because my view of my job is to represent the Blaine County School District to the best of my ability, to do so in a manner that, takes a look, as I talked about in my interview, at the facts and the evidence and come to conclusions that are for the best interest of the district and the children. And so the concept that I, as a parent of a child at Syringa, would be compromised when I'm neither employed by Syringa, I'm not on its board, I'm not an advocate, I honestly have very little to do with Syringa other than having a child who's going into there, is strange to me. It is such a de minimis connection that, and one of the things that I've gone back and forth with both Sean and Kathy and Adam King, who unfortunately had to deal with me bouncing all my hypotheticals off of him as well, is the difference between having a child in Syringa versus a board member who's got a child in one school when funding decisions may relate to another school within the Blaine County School District public school system. For example, someone has a child in the Haley Elementary School and a funding decision comes up regarding building a new gym for the public school in Cary. How is that situation fundamentally different from the one that I'm in regarding my child at Syringa? But those are sort of technical, legalistic arguments that don't really get the issue of the perception of there being a conflict. And I'm cognizant of that and give it great weight. I think from my perspective, the sort of standard test for whether or not recusal is necessary is basically, is there a reasonable perception that the person may have a conflict? And I don't want to make a blanket recusal on the basis of unreasonable expectations or concerns about my judgment being compromised. But at the same time, I'm new to the board. No one knows me, and no one knows what my decision process is like yet. So I'm certainly open to recusing myself on a case-by-case basis. I'm also open to the ideas if there's a particular set of Syringa-related financial matters that are coming up in the near future, the next 6 months of the next year or something, recusing on a limited, time-defined basis. Perfectly open to that. But I just want to reassure the board that, one, there was absolutely no intent to deceive by my not mentioning Syringa. Just know that it was not a public school within the BCSD. And I'm fully confident that I can do the job that you all selected me to do. So I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns that you all have, but that's really my statement.
I'll open up to the board. Is there any questions?
As far as I go, after knowing that, it was neither here nor there. It was, as a matter of fact, I would enjoy having the perspective of someone who has made a different decision for their child. I think that the school district might be able to, we have the perspective of all of the people on the board, and we get tons of great input from the staff. But, as far as a different perspective, I think that that's a good thing.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming and making the statement. And now that everyone's on the same page, as far as clear understanding of discussions that I've had on Friday night with Rick Roberts or Thursday night, excuse me. And now that the board has had the ability to become aware of it, to look at it, think about it, ask potential questions. Kathy?
Do you want to see if Glenn Carroll has anything?
Certainly. Dr. Holmes, I didn't see you in the room, so Kathy reminded me to request your thoughts.
I'm sorry, ask me again?
Kathy reminded me to request your thoughts.
Okay. I would just like to thank Mr. Roberts for his comments and for his understanding that perception is the bigger player in this issue than actual conflict. And we appreciate his sensitivity to it, and I'll look forward to working with him on that.
Thanks. I look forward to meeting you. I lived in absolutely. I lived in Old Town Alexandria for about 12 years, so we can compare notes on that area.
Okay.
All right, then. Is there any other comments, discussion from the board?
I just want to say thank you again to Rick for coming and just clarifying, the situation and being able to put the information out there so that people understand and to be able to discuss it. So thanks.
Well, thanks for inviting me here, and I mean, I think it's a testament to the board that you all bring an issue like this out into the open and make it, an opportunity for the public to speak and give me an opportunity to give my side. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And as previously stated, you're going to bring a different perspective, different point of view, different skill set, and be an asset to the board. So we appreciate your time and still being willing to serve. And if there's no further discussion, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I beat you to it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I was late. I've got one of the grandmas in the back of the room.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
We'll see you soon.